Hey, hi everyone. Hi, this is Sarang Brahmi. I'm back again on my YouTube channel. I know it's been a long time. But before we go ahead, I hope all of you are well, all of your family is well. It's incredibly difficult time for everyone. But I thought, the learning has to continue, and everything that I learn, I try to share a bit. And today, I'm going to talk a little bit about internal networking. While for all of these years I've been talking about social media, external, social networks and brand building and all of that, but little that we realize that a lot of us um, who work in corporate environment and even in consultancies, I think it's a collective networking of the people that really brings a lot of different elements, part of our growth, part of our learning, and also part of the entire journey. I mean, we have so many of us have people across our company internally that we have learned from, and not just about bosses and peers, but people from different departments, people who are part of different business units, different country altogether. There are a lot of examples that we have learned from them, and I'm incredibly lucky that as part of my work I've done the same. So I just thought I would share a little bit about some of the elements here, and possibly you could get a few tips and tricks on that. So I'm going to talk about why internal networking is key to growth and development. And um, that's the topic today. And I really hope that all of you take at least one takeaway. And there's an interesting homework or assignment that I'm going to give you after this video for you to share your learnings as well. So great. I mean, let's start. So what is really internal networking? I think in the way it applies external social or external networking, and it's pretty much the same internally. It is about reaching out and connecting with your colleagues. And when I say colleagues, is not just about people that you work every day, part of your team, who are part of same I don't know, maybe organization, that you are, but it's also about going over and beyond that. And I think a lot of times the incredible things that we learn are not just from the people that we work every day. They're from somewhere else. And more importantly, it is it is a networking or a proactive effort that you take, even if when your job or your project doesn't require it. And I think that's the nugget. How many of times we reach out to people even if we don't need them on our on our projects, or the deliveries that we are doing, or the work that we are doing. I think it is about creating that network, building the trust, getting the mind share of people that you may would share the common grounds, share the common passion, share the common topic, and working with them, and crossing the path, whether you are in you're working in office or not. But when your job doesn't really require, I mean, that's really more important. It's another thing when you go to someone and say, hey, give me this piece of data, give me this piece of information. And a lot of time, that comes across as in sales they call it as a cold call, right? But in company itself, you need to build those warm networks, there's connection of those people who would help you every day, um, who would share information about what's happening in different parts of company, because that will impact what you do, or right now, or that will provide new opportunities for you to open to work in, and to connect from people who are totally different in different departments, different work. Because today I think it's more about collaboration. Gone those days when you used to only work with people whom you share the same bosses. I think today cross department collaboration, cross business unit collaboration, whether these are people from different departments, finance or marketing, from the business teams, who are from center of excellences, from practices, from engineering team, from sales team, anywhere. I think you will still get a lot of amazing information and intel from these people that you may not otherwise get. So I think that's what internal networking is all about, is about proactively reaching out to people. And I think I distinctly remember, um, my moment of why this internal networking was key for me is, back in 2012 or 2013, when I was working in an India business unit, doing what I do. um, there was some questions asked by someone at a group level or a global team who was looking for some information about how does LinkedIn work and how does recruitment, talent attraction, social networking happen. And we chatted for a while. We exchanged the information. Again, there was no agenda. There was literally no agenda about. And I was. I mean, he just wanted to understand. I mean, that's okay. That I wanted to understand what does it mean at a global level. And then came a point where when we exchanging the information, he asked me to share that on a global recruitment forum, where people from all across the country, recruitment leaders, came on that call. And I got an opportunity to share that, and it was incredibly useful for every one of them to see what does this particular project might mean for different countries that might want to leverage it. And in fact, after some time, he also invited me to part of his team to do the same thing at a global scale. And again, that's where this internal networking, and also to try and understand what I do, my beliefs, my passion, areas that I drive, how does that play a role in someone else team or someone else department? How can I help, or what can I learn as well? And it's a part of a win-win situation, right? So that's what, to me, really the internal networking is. Why does it matter? Again, we talked a little bit about it. I think the key for me here is that you do this proactively. Don't wait for opportunity for someone to call you, or to send you an email, or someone to introduce you. I think you need to build these opportunities proactively, keeping your eyes and ears open, especially understanding your organization as a whole. A lot of times we only understand our part of the business, especially in the large companies. I think startups and medium scale organization have an advantage where there is a lot of transparency what happens across the companies. But people who work in the larger companies with thousands and thousands of people sometimes are blindfolded to only what happens in their own part of the business. And in the long term, that's not useful, because your opportunities to learn and grow will be limited in your own pool. And I think it's a matter of whether you want to expand your horizons. So think of what's happening outside. So why inside networking matters? I think first thing is for career and development and growth, especially if you want to grow in the same company, if you're same organization in the long term. And again, your definition of long term can differ, but it's really about whether you want to do incredibly different things in the same organization, or want to do the same thing again and again. Are there different opportunities somewhere else? And your skills, competencies, experience, can that be harnessed somewhere else as well? What are those opportunities? Where are they? Who are the right people? for your project success. Even if you're currently working on any project, I'm sure in your day-to-day projects you would need a lot of information from finance team, people who work on employer branding teams. You would need help from your marcom people who work in hr recruitment. You would need a lot of help and information from your business teams, from your sales team, in terms of what's happening out in the market, your market research team, right, just to understand market trends and so on and so forth. So any project today is not just a byproduct of how well you and your people around you do it, but also the collaboration that you can do across different teams. And it's the same vice versa. I'm sure a lot of times your business teams are reaching out to you when they are in the RFP process to understand, if you are an HR person or a recruitment person, can I get this kind of talent? Can I, what are the salary levels? What are the compensation levels where where I could find them, right? That's important. I mean, when you think of your project as a success, do not just think about what you can achieve as a one person or department. Think about what collectively you can achieve. Your network is your net worth, right? Today it's a working of in networks, and I've spoken about this in past. Think about your internal networks, and when I say network, I'm not talking about people who work in the same team. That is obviously your go-to place, but you would also need to find people who can bring information or intel from different angles. And that's why cross collaboration is important. And in today's environment, it's not really about, okay, command and control, and especially again in the big companies, or even in the smaller companies. It's not about, okay, if I need to get some information, I need to go to his boss, his or her boss, and then ask him or her to send me that information. You can actually do that more on informal way, based on your influence, based on the relationship building, based on the trust that you have got. I think it's a also part of the company culture, right? Are you trustworthy? Have you got people that have your back, or who are willing to help you, or have you helped them before, so that they can reciprocate that. This again, you'll find incredibly great opportunities in your day-to-day work. Again, if you are even if you're part of any other different function, I'm sure if you take an example of recruitment, right? If you are trying to help, trying to get more candidates, or if you're part of HR, you want to really understand in today's COVID situation, how do I best support my employees? Now, again, you can't do that on your own. You would need to, speak with the facilities management in terms of how best you can support, in the facilities part of it, with your IT teams, about what kind of infrastructure that you can provide. Your, I don't know, whomsoever takes care of your well-being for your medical facilities, the operations team, the business teams as well. What is their role in all of that? It's a collaboration. And again, you can't just send out an email, please be here at 7 o'clock and we need to have a meeting and blah blah blah. No, it's not a command and control. I mean, they are busy in doing their things. They need to understand the purpose of why you are doing this, and is there a common shared belief? That's the first part of networking. If there is something common that happens between the other department and what you want to achieve, they can be magic. I mean, what you can achieve as a whole. And it's not just about in your country. I think it's also, if you work in the global companies, there are a lot of people across the border that will do the same things. And what you can achieve by simple conversations about what you do versus what they do, what's happening out in the market, you can achieve incredible things. And also, I think we speak about office politics, and office politics a lot of time has got this negative connotation of people doing the unethical things. I think office politics also means, how do you navigate the workplace? How do you know who is the right person to talk to at the right time? And I'm not talking about, as they call, in the Indian thing, like a buttering. No, it's not about that. It's about knowing the people who knows others, knowing the people who get work done, knowing the people or the networks who are incredibly passionate about, again, the stuff that you want to bring onto the table. And believe me, in most cases, there are these people are there. And if you want to build your visibility, you need to know and work with these people. Even if you, again, going back to the first case, not when you need them or not when your job demands, but in otherwise. Again, ask yourself a question. When was the last time you met or spoken with someone? And I know in current situation, when everyone is not going to water coolers, to have these conversations and chit chat. When was the last time you met, you spoke with someone that you would otherwise speak in office, for work, for not work, or for not specific project? I think it's important that you nurture these networks beyond the needs. And in today's environment, obviously, when you go back to office in some shape or form, you will meet them and you will say hi and how things are going. But it's still important, by using the technology, by social media, whatever that you've got, you still go out and reach out to them to continue to build those, build that kind of an intimacy, right? So I think that's why inside network matters, and that's why I think you need to proactively take a step to nurture and to build these inside networks, which are incredibly important for your career growth, your learning, and at the same time the success of the projects. And obviously at some point of time, you will also end up helping the other person in their projects, in their work, and that's how you build the great teams. The great teams are not just about working in the same team like those 5 6 people, but a company, the entire organization is a team. There's also a very amazing concept called organization network analysis. You'll find a lot of times that there are certain individuals in your organization who are super networkers, who knows everyone like everywhere, right? These who's who kind of people. And you'll find those thought leaders or super networkers everywhere, not just externally like a thought leadership people, but also inside your teams. And you can ask them what have they achieved because of the efforts and investment that they have built in creating these relationships, right? So I just also want to give you some practical tips. So it's great that, yes, inside networking matters, but how do I do that? Where do I start? I think first is build your personal brand visibility and why. How many of you have read Simon Sinek, Start with Why? And I'm currently reading it, and it's like opening up my senses to a completely new world, actually. That why, what is your why do you exist, what is your identity is not that you work at certain company. When you go and introduce yourself, okay, I am xxx at xxx company, no, that's just a way that you are currently staged, you are currently working, but that's not who you are. Your identity and your why, what is sarang brahme, like if I go to my earlier slide, this is my why. Passionate about building amazing workplaces, passionate about creating Capgemini's amazing workplace. That is my why. And yeah, I'm a newbie YouTuber and podcaster trying to learn the arts and science of this. Obviously, there are a lot of big influences. I'm not one of them, but I'm trying. I'm learning this again. Some of my videos sucked. Some of them were really good, but that's part of my learning. And this is your identity, right? And build that brand and visibility. Use LinkedIn, use any other social media, use internal network, whatever be the case, but build your brand. And when I say brand is not just about saying great things about yourself, is to build that visibility and what others say about you. Find those other people who are with similar goals and passion and drive. I'm sure there'll be others who will recognize you for what you do, but find your tribe. What is your tribe? What is your herd? Find people not just vertically, sorry, and horizontally, both. I mean, leverage your bosses, super bosses, to find who are the other parts, like whom should I know, This is what I do. I mean, I'm extremely passionate, and I do things about employee experience, candidate experience, employer branding. Are there any other people inside my organization that I should know? Your bosses, your peers would know them better because they are at a different stage. And also, again, vertically as well, who are the vice presidents and heads and CXO level people who are incredibly passionate about these topics. Again, the idea is not to go and ask them the job, even internally, but just to understand what new nuances they would bring out for this. Proactively introduce yourself. How many times you get your HR head has joined, right? Your new CEO has joined, your business unit head has joined. You would see these announcements and emails that happens internally, right? How many times that you actually go out and wish him, hey, welcome to the life at Capgemini. I'm this is what I do. In case, in future, I'm sure our paths will cross, and we'll speak sometime. Let me know if you need any help. That's a simple art of networking. It's a first step, a lot of time that you have to take rather than you wait for someone to take. What are the common grounds and opportunities where you can offer him or her help? You sometimes someone at a other SBU or department, or someone is working on a project that possibly can be benefited by what I do. Now, if you are one of those, okay, I'll just wait and let him or her come to me if they need me. No, why? Maybe they are not aware that you can actually do a value add. Why don't you just go to them and offer the help? I mean, obviously sometimes they will say no, I mean, this is not the scope, or not the we don't have a time or budget or whatever the reason is. But the sheer fact that you went and asked is can open up a lot of doors. Next time they will remember you. Oh yeah, this guy's come to me last time, maybe he can help me or she can help me this time. That's how you build your network. Find communities to be part and contribute. How many of you know that, okay, there are maybe some community calls that happens, maybe there's some project teams that comes together and talk about it. And sometimes you can go there in one of those calls or these communities and say, okay, are you interested in this topic about how blah 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 can happen? Or maybe the experience that I can bring in through my function or competencies into the project that you have. Maybe there is some common ground. And again, the intent is important. It's not about getting something, it's giving something, and then in the long term. And that's how what the relationships are, right? I mean, whether it's a professional relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, it's the same thing. You are looking to you give something before you get. It's if it's not that way, then it's a very transactional relationship. Your relationship will be over the time that the barter exchange happens. Ask your bosses, as I said, and mentors to introduce you to people and network internally. Please do that on a proactive basis. Who are the new people who have joined our company? Who are the people in other, as I said, other parts of the businesses, other countries? I'm sure a lot of you work in a multinational company, right? Attend open webinars and be part of the project. If there are any internal meetings, internal webinars that are happening, which are not necessarily coming from your team or your part of the business, but if you see an open webinar, someone talking about, like yesterday, um, uh, before I was giving a talk to one of the teams, some that the project, sorry, that presentation got delayed, and my presentation was 30 minutes later. I could have just disconnected and logged in back after 30 minutes, because that's what I was supposed to do. But I stayed and I listened to the other presentation that the person was giving, and it was incredibly useful. I could now learn a lot of new things. So again, be part of the communities, be part of the projects. There are a lot of voluntary projects that keeps on happening across the company, right? In some cases, see if you can contribute, see if you can be part of that, right? Forget hierarchies. This is 2021. Sorry. Sometimes we still feel back, yeah, kind of stuck in 2020, but yeah, we moved on. Even in 2021, forget hierarchies, forget internal walls. I'm sure more and more companies are embracing the idea of flat structures. And again, even if there's a difference between hierarchies and flat structure and internal walls. Just because you got a hierarchy doesn't mean there are walls. Sometimes you got hierarchies because that's the nature of the organization, and sometimes those are needed. But I've seen awesome leaders who do not use their hierarchies as walls, but they always are like open ground conversations. So see if that's there. You can just walk in and offer him or help, or ask some questions. See how you can help. Just welcome them with the open arms. Sometimes these are small things. And also in today's environment where you can't have office parties and have lavish gala dinners where you can meet them, introduce to them, small things like this goes a long way. Just because we are in pandemic and working from home doesn't mean your networking should stop. No, it will continue. In fact, there are a lot of places, again, whether it's LinkedIn, social media, your internal intranets, any, if you have Yammer kind of a thing, or MS, teams that you have, a part of a larger group. Because how many of you who are part of bigger teams, big team communities, would actually go and share some information? That if you're part of a, I don't know, Mumbai HR community, and there are, tens and 20 people in that, or just a, India wide or a global HR community, some kind of a DL or a group, or whatever inside your company. Now, a lot of times those groups are only used for some communications, some updates, maybe once in a while some webinar by a leader, and so on and so forth. Why don't you use them to share information? What's happening around? If you need help, ask questions, offer help. Or if someone else is pushing or asking some information, go ahead and help him or her. Not mean that you need to have a answer, but maybe redirect him or her somewhere else where they can get the answers, right? If someone writes a blog, someone from your company writes a blog and put it on LinkedIn, like it, share it, comment about it. They will remember you for that, and that can lead you to next. Hey, if you know the sales, right? In sales, before you actually sell, there's something called as a, cold calls and warm leads and all of that. You need to bring more warm leads into your professional life, also in your personal life. And that happens by building your internal networks. And a lot of times, whether it's your career development, promotions, the time that you need support from your community, from your, standing on your platform, and you need help at any point of time, this community will come and help you. They will vouch for you because they have seen and worked with you as a first hand experience. Oh, I can trust Sarang, I can trust this person, I can trust, because I know they have got incredible opportunity. They have seen you, they have, again, they have worked with you, rather than people whom you never met, and obviously there are always question marks because you never worked with them. And today, creating that network, creating that warm leads is far more important. This is one of the, I mean, not in a lot of cases you get taught about this subject in your growth and learning, because a lot of times you only end up talking about your technical skills, right? But navigating an organizational structure and building in internal networks is incredibly important for your success, for you becoming great leader, for you becoming a trusted person, and for you becoming a trusted and someone that people can count on you and knows you, in fact, who you are and what is your place in the thousands of people that are there in company. Or even if you choose 100 people, what is your place in that 100, and will help you to navigate your way. And you can actually grow better I'm not talking about money. I think compensation is another part, but you would get more opportunities to do cross, team and cross department movement in the same company rather than doing it outside. So if you're looking for better opportunities, better teams, better kind of roles, internal movement or internal mobility is now become a big role. I have myself played 3 or 4 different roles in the matter of 12 years in my company now, and that wouldn't have been possible if I wouldn't have got that internal network. When I went to the new role, first time global role, first few months I've just spent in knowing people. What do they do? What kind of support I can provide to them? That's the really the value of internal networks. Great. So I think that's kind of sum up from some of my practical tips. Let me know which of the tips that kind of you liked. But and this is the homework I was referring to. So comment on the my YouTube video with one example where internal networking has helped you, or you can share this video with your friends, colleagues, tag your team members or your professional friends to get what is their example where internal networking has helped you, right? And I'll give a shout out to some of the really amazing examples if you have. So with that, thank you so much. I hope you like the video. Bye bye.